All right, everybody. Hey, if we haven't met yet, my name is Kevin Ross. I'm the founding chairman of First Washington, and it also turns out I'm the world judge advisor for the First Tech Challenge. So, and I'm also going to be one of the judge advisors here in Washington State. I'm from Carnation, and so I do things at the national level and the state level, and it's all good. So what we're going to do tonight is give you the, oh shit, we're late in getting the training done version of the judges training, which actually happens every year because a lot of times we don't get everybody enlisted till right at the last instant. So it's all good. I am going to, my goal for you is to introduce you to how to get into the remote judging system and what it is that we're expecting you to do. And I'll give you some pointers to the training if you haven't seen it yet. I know that some of you may not have time to complete the training and certification before your event. That's okay. We are used to working with folks of various skill levels. We have a really great process set up for you. Okay, so with that, I'm now going to try and find this screen. Hang on a sec. I got all kinds of stuff covering up my screen here. I need to make that big. Oh, God, life's great. Okay. So first thing I want to point out, which is always a bit of angst for a lot of folks who haven't done FTC judging before, is we'll get this out of the way. FTC judging is very subjective. And so if you're coming from first Lego League judging, which is much more objective, where you have like score sheets and there's lots of numeric stuff, we don't really do the numeric things in the FTC judging. FRC does not as well. So we're a little closer to FRC in that respect. We want to assuage your fears. There are no perfect answers in judging, and because it is subjective, and that's okay. We're willing to take that on. Okay. I also want you to realize that final decisions about where awards and stuff are going to go are actually made by a team of judges. So you are not independently responsible for picking what you think is going to be the best team. It's going to be a collaborative effort with a group of others. The nice part of that is that if you're feeling not quite sure which team is your favorite, you're going to be working with a team to figure that out. Okay.
Kevin?
Yes.
Point of order, do you want questions in the middle? Do you want people to raise their hands or save questions to the end?
I'm good with either. I will watch for raised hands. I see Najir has actually thrown up a hand. What's up, man? Is it Niraj?
This is Neeraj. Hi.
Neeraj, okay. What can I do for you?
Thanks. Just a quick one. I think you started this conversation with remote judging, but the email that I got was it was supposed to be in the high school, Henry Jackson High School. So are we doing remote or are we doing in person?
We are doing all remote judging. All of our events are remote judging.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay, great. And if I do answer your question, if you don't mind lowering your hand, so then I know not to call on you again, it'd be awesome. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Cool. All right. So the reality is that it, again, very subjective, and we'll show you that there are criteria for the judging. I'll show you those in just a sec. You just need to understand that the judging is going to be unique to this event. If we brought in another panel of judges, they're likely to come up with similar teams, just the way our process works, but they may not come up with the same teams as to who gets the award and who doesn't. That's okay. That is how the judging works. We've always been extraordinarily happy with the decisions that panels of judges make. So yay. All right, I'm going to move on to the next slide here. So there, almost all of us, with the exception of Tesla, I think it's actually just only Tesla is starting at a weird time. Otherwise, all the other judging sessions are starting at 6 p.m. on the night of your judging. Watt and Curie start tomorrow. I think Pasteur and Feynman, I think, are on Thursday. Agnesi is on Friday, and Tesla is on Saturday. And if I missed one, I apologize, but you should have gotten informed of that. But for the most part, if you can be on time, we really appreciate it, because it does move kind of fast. And I'm going to show you how to get online and stuff here in just a minute. And if you feel like you've gotten yourself lost, try and follow the instructions to get to the judge deliberation room. That's usually where you're going to find your judge advisor. All of you as judges are going to report to a judge advisor. Each event has one. For Watt, I am the judge advisor. Fred Silberberg is going to be the Curie judge advisor.
Hello, everyone.
Is that right?
I just said hello.
Oh, yep, there's Fred. David McKinnon is doing Agnesi. Agnesi is a entirely remote event, even the robot part of it. There's David. I don't know that I saw Kate come on, but Kate Lanham is going to be handling one of the events you'll find there. And then Brett Wartzman, who's been a long time Uber volunteer with FIRST, will be handling the other one. Sorry. You'll meet them all. These are all great people. This will be Fred's first time doing this, and so we will, but he's going to do great. No worries. Okay. So
thanks, Kevin. No pressure.
No pressure at all, man. I'm here to help you. It's all good. Everybody's got to do it the first time, at least once. So the key thing for you is to find your judging. You go to this link, ftc-scoring.firstinspires.org. And when you get there, it will ask you to log in, and you'll use the same credentials that you logged into the First Inspires website when you signed up as a volunteer. And I was planning to show you how that runs. So let me bring that up right here. I'm assuming you can see my web browser, PC scoring. And I might already be logged in. Okay, I was already logged in, sorry, but normally you would do a login operation. It's all good. You will end up with a list of events. Mine is really long. I do a lot of different stuff. Yours likely has one, maybe two events in it. So ignore mine. It's got a lot of stuff in it. And so once you find an event, like I'll click on Watt, you'll end up with a screen that looks somewhat similar to this. It should have a judging link on it. And if you click on the judging link, you will find a deliberation room right up here at the top. And what this is it's kind of like Zoom. It isn't Zoom, but it's very close. And if I click on the deliberation room, it'll open up a very Zoom-like interface. And I chose not to do my microphone and screen because I'm otherwise using it. But anyway, it's just like a Zoom meeting. All of the other judges will show up here. You can have a nice chat. You can share screens and stuff. Okay, I'm going to run through that one more time. So you go to you select the event that you believe you're judging in, and then you click on judging and deliberation room, and that will get you to where your judge advisor should be. It's all good, not so bad. I will be sending out that information again tonight, and so you'll have it in your email by the end of the night. Okay, sweet. Next question is, or the next, if you do get stuck, hopefully your judge advisor could be emailing you tonight. We're a little late getting started. We should have emailed you a couple days ago, but oh well, that's okay. You'll find out who your judge advisor is via email. JT. Oops.
I'll find if you want as well. We can take it offline if you want as well, but I'm supposed to MC the FIRSTWA event. Is that something you're going to cover tonight, or?
No, we're just doing judging, but you're also judging what?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I only have FIRSTWA in my list, just FYI.
Absolutely. You'll be there. I'm actually running FIRSTWA. I'll help you through all the MC stuff.
Okay.
Okay. So moving right along, I do have one useful link, and again, we'll send you this link as well. The link to this presentation, the link to the video of this, and this is the judge summary sheet that it will become an important part of your day. That's where you find the link to it there, and you'll see that we've got links to this document all over the place. It's just a PDF file to look at. So anyway, this website will bring up the First Washington website, and at the moment there's a very, very short version of how to get started. Very short version of this presentation I actually typed out, and there will be a couple of other documents up here. So anyway, don't need to worry about that too much right now. We're going to come back to that. Sort of the big block schedule. We're kind of scheduled from 6. I know it said 9 o'clock. I'm going to be honest with you. It's likely to go to at least 9:30. I hope that isn't a problem for you. We forgot to schedule in some time for post-interview meetings, and sorry about that. We're a little bit off our normal game this year because of the remote stuff. But anyway, this is basically what it looks like at 6 o'clock or whenever your event starts. I think if you're in Tesla, I believe Tesla starts on Saturday at 9 a.m. Anyway, adjust for your relative start time. We'll meet in the deliberation room for about a half hour, kind of get you all set up, give you, assign you to panels, judging panels, and then you will head off to a panel room. I'll show you what that is in just a second. You'll be in your panel room for somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. Most of us is actually 2.5 hours, right up the middle there. And you're going to interview somewhere between 4 and 6 teams. Most of us are doing 5 teams. There are a couple of folks that are going to do 6. And we'll talk about what that interview is here in just a second. And then following that, your panel will just kind of hang out in your panel room, and with when all the kids are gone and there's nobody else in there, you can discuss the teams that you saw, things that you thought were interesting, and which teams might be potential nominees to be considered for specific awards. Okay. Pretty straightforward, and we'll show you the criteria and stuff for the awards. And then by 9 o'clock, hopefully all of us end up back in the judge deliberation room to get some more instructions, and then we're going to reorganize everybody into award panels. I'm not going to delve into the second half because we'll explain that to you when you get there. What my goal for tonight was to get you to the point where, yeah, you can show up at 6 and be relatively confident on what it is that you're supposed to do. It's all good? Okay. The process is we're going to interview the teams. We're going to, based on the information that we collected from those interviews and some other information that they've given us, we're going to make a list of teams that we think are worth a second look. Then we're going to reshuffle ourselves into award panels, and then the award panels will go and talk about specific awards. So that's the idea. These interviews, they're scheduled every 30 minutes. And let me show you what the content of an interview is. So you're going to do this 5 or 6 times. So you're going to welcome the team in. You're going to say, hi, how are you? We're the judges. Look at us. We usually prompt them by saying, you're allowed to have up to 5 minutes to do a formal presentation if you'd like. We're excited to see what you guys have to say. So if you're ready to go, let's start. Okay. They may or may not have a presentation. The presentation is optional, but that's okay. If it ends early, that's fine. There's no time requirement. However, once you get to about the 5-minute mark of them supposedly doing the presentation, they are supposed to end. We're not doing a buzzer at the end, so you don't have to like, hey, you got to stop now. But at 5 minutes, you should feel free to start interrupting and asking questions. And the reality is if they get to 5:30 and they're still going, you really want to interrupt them and say, we have some questions for you, you know. And so again, we're not trying to do a buzzer. We're not trying to call them on it, but we are trying to give you guys time to ask some questions, okay? And then for about the next 10 minutes or so, you can ask questions about things that you heard while you were talking. You can ask them more general questions. We'll talk about the information that you're trying to gather here in just a couple of minutes. And then right around the 15 to 16 minute mark, you're going to say, hey, you guys did an amazing job. Thank you for coming. We have gathered the information that we need for right now, and we look forward to hearing more from you tomorrow during the pits, the virtual pits. And that sort of, so this is your wrapping it up. You kind of want to keep an eye on your clock on this stuff, because if you let a team start to sort of creep out there, your schedule can get away from you in a big hurry, okay? They will have submitted something called an engineering portfolio, and you'll be able to look at those. So you take about 5 minutes, kind of browse through. It should be 15 pages long. Most of them have a lot of pictures. You're looking for engineering portfolios that look like they're well put together and well worth somebody reading. Others may not be quite so much. Maybe they'll do better next time, but you'll take a look. Then, you know, as a group, you're going to be in a group of either 2 or 3 judges. Your 2 or 3 judge panel need to decide what you think of this team and did they seem strong enough to be considered at a later time. And then right at about the 25-minute mark, you should think about filling in a feedback request form, and I'll show that to you here in just a minute. Okay.
Could I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
So can we back up to the very, very beginning?
Sure.
So are we going to have more than one person judging on each of these?
Yes.
And will they assign a spokesperson? Because I could just see that happening where we all start talking, hey, welcome, you know, at the same time.
You guys can work it out. There's going to be 2 of you in the room.
Oh, okay.
You're going to have a partner.
Okay.
There may be 3, but there's really actually only 2 or 3 of you judges. Most of the panels are 2. There are a few 3-person panels.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So as you're going through the day, there are some awards that you'll be considering, and there's a nice system for keeping online notes on all this stuff. I'll show you that in just a couple of minutes. And I've always found it useful to try and, as you're going along during the day, just sort of like, oh, I like this team for this award, for the design award. That was really cool. And so I might put them in and then kind of keep adjusting. You know, the next team you also might like for the design award, but you might like them a little better or a little worse, you know, so there's ways of sort of, as you're going, sort of agreeing as a panel. Yeah, you know, in the end, you're going to, the top two, potentially the top 3 teams, but probably the top 2 teams are going to be nominated for each one of these awards. If you're in Agnesi, David McKinnon's group, you're probably going to need to do the top 3 teams, just because it's a very small event, and that's how the math works out better. Okay, so at the end of this, of your panel part, which is going to be on the first night, we're kind of looking for you to have a list of teams that need to be evaluated by the actual award team, in your opinion. And you are correct. So don't worry, don't get too hung up on things. Your impressions are your impressions, and you are correct. So it's all good. They will get evaluated again by another group of judges. So, okay. If, and this does happen, if you have a team that if you don't have enough teams to nominate for an award, or if the team didn't, if none of your teams actually did anything to qualify for an award, then go ahead and don't nominate them. Keep your notes, keep notes on everything. But the reality is that there are occasionally, what we don't want to do is give an award to the least worst team. That isn't how we like to operate. So if you're racking your brain going, boy, none of these teams did any outreach or did anything to qualify for one of these awards, yeah, don't nominate anybody. That's fine. Or maybe you only nominate one. Please don't feel like you have to nominate somebody if nobody's jumping out at you as a clearly an accomplished team. It's something you can leave it blank. And if there's a problem when we all get together, honestly, Connect is going to be a difficult one this year because a lot of teams couldn't do outreach because of COVID. That's probably the one award this year that there might be a little finagling with the judge advisor to talk about teams who did anything. We'll see. Okay. And then, so the output of your panel is going to be 2 nominees, maybe 3 nominees on the super small events for each of the awards. Okay. Most of our events are between 17 and 28 teams. There is one event, which is our remote only event that David is working on, and that only has 9 teams. So there will be some, we'll call it funkiness with that particular event, because we have to give out, in theory, we're supposed to give out 9 awards, and there are 9 teams, and it may or may not happen. And I will be helping David with the working that out. It is a weird situation that doesn't normally happen in FIRST, but it is what it is, and we're going to make it work great for the kids. Okay. Okay. Hey, look, I'm at my last slide. I didn't want to PowerPoint you to death tonight. I am going to show you the online note system. It's really quite nice and quite robust. We'll lay out how things works. There are ways of getting notes in for various reasons, and we'll show you kind of how I normally set it up. And you're free to do whatever you want, but I have a suggestion. The panel notes. So there are notes by panel. So that's your team of 2. And there are also notes for each individual team, which is good because I'll show you those in a sec. And you can also keep notes for yourself. So we're going to walk through all of this. All right. That was my last slide. Yay. Thank you so much for the PowerPoint. Does anybody have any questions before I start showing you what the hell I'm been talking about? We good?
Hey, Kevin, this is Timish. One question I had. So this means I have been to the FRC events and all that. So this is not a live event where they are showing the challenge, right? This is something else then? Yeah.
So we are not, yeah. We are judging on before their event happens because we're doing all remote judging. And so the event is going to happen after we've already given out the awards. But in FTC, the robot performance really isn't as important in the judging. So unlike FLL, if you've done FLL judging, robot performance is a major part of the big award. It really isn't as big a deal in this game.
You said FLL or FRC?
FLL. FRC, actually the points in FRC really don't usually matter that much either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it'll all work out great. Okay. So I am going to stop my dear friend PowerPoint. There we go.
Just have a quick question before you go on to the next one.
Sure.
Are there any guidelines before we go? Are we judges that we're supposed to share our camera, or we're not supposed to share our camera because we want the kids to be the focus? Is there anything?
I think it's completely appropriate to share your camera if you can, because we kind of want the kids to get the feel that, hey, look, I'm actually talking to somebody. And there's a lot to be said for body language, right? So I think that I'd appreciate it if you share your camera. You're not required to, but if you're having technical problems, I kind of would request that you do. The kids, on the other hand, most of them will share their cameras. There are reasons that students don't. Some living conditions are substandard, and there are a host of reasons why the kids won't turn their cameras on. And it is not a requirement for the students to turn their camera on. Most of them will, some of them may not. Some of them don't have enough upload speed because they're in remote areas and they can't really upload full video. Some are in substandard living conditions. We actually have some homeless students who live in cars. There's a couple, and so they tend not to share their camera. So we don't judge based on that.
And Kevin, if I may add, as judges, if you're willing to turn on your camera, that would be great. Because I know I spoke to one of my colleagues who's an FLL coach. When they presented at their tournament, regional tournament, their judge did not turn on the camera. So these grade school and middle school kids were speaking into a black box. And that's just very difficult for kids to do.
Yeah.
So it's just, if you can show them that you're a person, you're a real professional, then they can aspire to be something besides a black square on a screen.
Yep. There are inevitably the tech issues. So if your camera doesn't fire up or whatever, everything, it's internet teleconferencing. You've all been there. Yeah. So, okay. I believe you should be seeing my screen right now. If I'm going to go back to, so this is, I'm just going to pick on the Watt Interleague tournament. I have clicked on judging. Okay, well, so here was my landing page for my event. I've clicked on judging, and there are a few things I wanted to show you real quick. If you wanted to see the portfolio, the engineering portfolio, which is the written documentation that the students provide, this is where you find it. And so you can look it up by team number. Here's a nice team who has uploaded a portfolio control award, and they've asked for feedback. So they've done all three. And so you're able to see if you are at any time trying to find the engineering portfolio for a team, this is one place to come find it. Niraj, what's up?
Hey, thanks. I just had a quick question so remember for the Tesla event, right? I mean, is there any confidentiality or anything that we need to be aware of?
Confidentiality?
Yes. Is there anything like a legal or NDA or anything that we need to be aware of or you should be respecting towards?
Sure. There isn't an NDA, so there's no legal document to sign. However, things that get discussed in the judging room are not for public consumption, and we really try not to share any specifics about the judging with the teams. You run into a huge rat's nest when you do that, because they will start asking, how am I doing compared to this other team, right? Or you could end up setting their expectations improperly. And so we're very evasive about teams who are asking, how am I doing? And we also prefer that you don't discuss the judging details or any specifics or give feedback other than what our built-in feedback mechanism allows.
Got it.
You think you're helping, inevitably, it almost always causes a bigger hassle than it does a help. We get teams who will then contact me, or they'll contact FIRST and say, the judges said that they didn't hear or see something, and we want to be rejudged and we get that a lot. So that's why we try to avoid feedback, direct feedback to the teams and discussing any particulars about judging. Okay.
Okay, thanks. One more question on that. So you said it is not about robot performance, right? So what are they going to be showing? Are they going to be showing us the concepts? Or are they going to be showing us some presentations? Or are they going to be showing some real products?
Yeah. So what they'll do is they may show you a presentation and tell you about their season. They may talk about how they decided to play the game. They may talk about how they, as a team, figured out how to build this robot. Maybe they'll show you some CAD drawings or some pictures or things about how they went about the process of building the robot, the design ideas that worked, some that didn't. You'll see some of them will talk about outreach and connections to the community that they did. They'll talk about how they work together as a team. There's each team is a little bit different and unique. We will show you I'm going to show you the judging criteria here in just a sec. And I'm also going to show you where you should go if you'd like to, if you have time to do the training. There actually is a training module that we probably didn't get a chance to tell you about. Our apologies about that. If you have time, I'm going to show that to you. In fact, why don't I show that to you right now?
Kevin?
If I go to firstinspires.org, yeah.
Do you mind if I butt in about data privacy when you're done talking?
Please go ahead.
Another one of the modules that Kevin is bringing up right now is around data privacy. And so that kind of gets back to your earlier question, Niraj, about like NDAs or things like that, which is that anything that teams share with you during the event can't be shared with other people. And it's specifically about making sure that we're protecting the data of these kids and of, making sure that we're not sharing their information with other people. Pictures or things that you take need to be deleted after the event. If you handwrite notes, they need to be shredded at the end of the event. The notes that you take online in the FTC challenge will be deleted automatically at the end of the event. So if you take notes there, you don't have to worry about it. But like make sure that we're following the data protection, which is in the training list if you have time to go through that tonight before your event.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
All right. So what I have done in the background is I logged into the First Inspires website. That's where you went to register as a volunteer. And I went to volunteer registration. And you probably, if you click on roles missing certifications, are going to find if you haven't done this yet, if you haven't taken the test, you're going to find a review outstanding tasks. Okay. And what this is that we use an online training system called Blue Volt. And so I'm just going to click on this guy. It's going to take me to my, it's going to tell me I need training and certification for this particular role. And if I click on resolve, it will take me to this thing called Blue Volt. And what it'll have is a set of modules for you to complete. And so everybody does gracious professionalism and the data privacy and protection. That's what Fred was just talking about. And that's going to talk about the fact that we don't collect or we don't save identifiable information about students. You'll find that most of this is just on a first name basis and don't take pictures, bunch of stuff in there. That's awesome. Then you will have some things to enroll in. I have a big mishmash of stuff because I do a whole bunch of different things. But if I come down here, I think I have judge. No, I don't have. You'll find one that is First Tech Challenge Judge, and it'll have the modules for you that you're supposed to complete. And you'll notice these are overlapped, right? So it's the data protection, gracious professionalism, and then you should have a judge one here. They don't take very long. And this will get you access to the documents and the materials. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah. How am I doing? Is that all right? If you have a chance before your scheduled event, and I know that Watt and Curie that we gave you 24 hours and we feel really bad about that. If you do have a chance to read through some of this stuff, we'd really appreciate it if you could. Okay. And so, you know, in each one of these is a little module. If I click on one, there are things that you're supposed to watch, and then there's a bunch of optional stuff. If you do the ones that you're supposed to do, and I didn't do the optional ones because I've done these multiple times, but the data handling and stuff, and most of these are actually pretty quick. A lot of them are just PDFs that you need to read. They're a few pages long. And then one of them has judging actually has a quiz. We'd like you to pass the quiz. It's not a hard quiz, and you can take as long as you want. And if you can't find something, you can just grab up another window and go find what the answer was. That was our intent. Okay. Sound good? And like I said, I'm giving you the total Reader's Digest version of this. I'm kind of fire hosing you. I apologize, but.
So can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
So today I was trying to be the teacher's pet and be really up to speed on bookmarking. So I'm in Blue Vault, and you know, you get to the judging where you have like the summary sheet and where you can take notes. So I said, okay, I'm going to add this bookmark. And then when I came back to open it back up, you have to, it wants you to log in through Blue Vault. Does that make, and it wouldn't let me do it. So I don't know if anybody else was trying to be like that, you know, like our pupil here, but it doesn't work.
The way Blue Vault is set up, it's really hard to bookmark something and go back, because when you go in through the first website, it does a bunch of magic and logs you in the background. Whereas, see, because they're logging you in with your first credentials, so you kind of have to go through the volunteer dashboard. So, I love the fact that you were doing that and trying to bookmark stuff, but I agree with you, it does not work.
Yeah,
and that's
so
why.
Forget it. It was a no. It was no go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So anyway, you're welcome to do that. Again, the training stuff. When you go to your first dashboard, that's this button over here on the upper right, or you can look down here and see what things that you're missing. When you finish, it takes a little while for the system to update, so don't panic if you got done with the whole thing and it still says that you have outstanding tasks. It will eventually update, so it's all good. Okay. I think are we good with this? Can I move on? All right. Outstanding. So that was that. Now, in the judging module, I'm going to go back to the judging module. When it's time for you to do your presentations, well, first of all, you're going to go to the deliberation room, and we already showed that. It's just a little Zoom room. You'll be chatting in there, no worries. The presentation judging schedule, you'll be assigned to a judging panel. And so if I click on this, again, I'm a super user, so there are joins all the way across here. Normally, you've been assigned to one of these panels, and there will be a join next to your panel and not the others. So if I click on join, but this shows my schedule, or this shows the schedule, say for panel 1, it's got the times, okay? And if you click on join, it brings you back to, this is your judging room. You will notice that it will be judge your first name, right? This is all going to be on first name basis. So all of the judges will get automatically prefixed with a judge, and then the teams will be, the teams are listed over here. It turns out that you have to have 2 judges in the room to start an interview. So if your other judge pops out or didn't show up, you need to go find your judge advisor or figure it out. 2 judges have to be in the room to start the judging. Over here, you can see the schedule, and as you're going through the day, you'll start to see people arrive, and these are waiting rooms over here. And once you have 2 judges, and once you have more than 2 students, we never do things one-on-one in first. there'll be a button over here that says admit team. Kind of wait until their scheduled time. From the team side, they only see the waiting room on the other side, but they may be practicing. You know, they're allowed to come in early, get their tech set up and be ready to go for you. So they may be screwing around in there. So try to do your best to kind of hit the 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11 sort of idea. Sound good? Happy? Okay. Teams are able to, you can share your screen. You can run your video. I apologize, I can't run my video because you're watching my Zoom video, but I can share a screen. So here, I can share this screen, and hey, there are all you guys in your Zoom window on my other screen, right? And so anything that they can put up on the screen, you will be able to see, okay? And so a lot of them will do this. A lot of them will try and show you some CAD stuff. They may try and show you pictures. Some of them will try and probably fail to use their cell phone to be able to zoom in and show you things on their robot. It will be a mishmash of things. You will see some teams will come in 8 individual windows, just like you see in Zoom here. You'll see the gallery sort of view. Other teams may try and do it all in person. If you're having difficulty hearing them, especially the big groups, tell them, just say, hey, we can't hear you. Would the person who's speaking please step forward a little bit to get closer to the microphone? So you'll work it out. It's all good. Be creative and solve some problems. And if you're having a hard time hearing them, that's appropriate. Now, so for example, here are the building dogs, 17164, and me as a judge, I can open their notes. And so these are team notes. The team notes are very specific. They are listed by team. And so you can enter notes in that are just specific to this particular team, okay? The other options over here is you can have panel notes, and you'll see that I pre-populated everybody's panel notes with the result that we want from you, which is for each one of the awards, which team, and a one-line summary of why you're nominating them. So the panel notes are specific just to this panel of judges, okay? The 2 or 3 of you, okay? There are also event notes, and these are, in these, I've pre-populated them with some useful links, like here's a link to the judge summary sheet. And so this is the organized information that we're trying to get you to see. If you would like to preview all of this, by the way, you can log in now to FTC scoring and bring up the judge notes and take a look at them if you'd like. But anyway, this summary sheet just sort of helps you organize the sorts of things that you're looking for from the teams for each one of the awards, okay? This judge summary sheet is internal to the judges. The teams will not see this. And actually, this is not a fillable form. Sorry about that. If you wanted to, but I always use this as a reference, and then make notes over here in the team notes about each one of those things. Okay. How am I doing? Is that sort of making sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. I'm going to pop back
question.
one level. Oh, your question?
Yeah, sorry. Do the judges have to wait for an adult to be in it doesn't necessarily have to be the coach, but do we have to wait for an adult to be in the team's room, or can we just go with the kids?
We are supposed to, in theory, have an adult. It doesn't matter if it's a parent, a coach, just somebody over the age of 18 with the team. And the teams have been told that. Ask if they show up without an adult, ask if there's an adult available, and see if they can get one within like a minute or so. technically we are supposed to have an adult in the room. Would that stop me from interviewing a team because of that? If as long as there's multiple judges and multiple team members, I'll be honest with you, I think it's kind of a silly rule, but we are supposed to enforce it, so I should probably tell you to enforce it. Yeah, all of the coaches know that they're supposed to have an adult in the room, so you shouldn't have a problem. Sometimes it's hard to tell who the adult is. It's all good. My maturity level is nowhere near adult, so yeah. Okay, so you saw how the panel works and how you can open the notes for each individual team. This is your room as a judging panel. And so when you have when it's just judges in there, you can talk about whatever you want. You can go work on the notes for stuff. Yeah. There we go. I usually end up opening multiple windows, by the way, multiple browser tabs. I'll end up with their summary sheet over here for a specific team. I'm looking to see if any of these have submitted their portfolio. It doesn't look like it yet. Normally, oh, there we go. Normally, they've asked for feedback from, but they haven't given us their portfolio. But you should be able to access their engineering portfolio from this little drop down. You'll see a lot more stuff when there's actually people there. But if I'm not able to get at that, I'll oftentimes leave a browser tab. I would duplicate this tab here, and I would usually have this available, where I could go pull up a team's engineering portfolio if I needed to. So I'll leave that open, and then I'll have my panel open. I'll have this open, and that will allow me to open another window that has your engineering portfolio, and you can manage your own windows. Just
hey, Kevin?
Yeah.
I noticed when you were showing us your judging schedule, the join button is next to each panel, and I think you have it even showing up for future sessions. When does that show up? Because my event that I'm judging is on the 13th, and I see the schedule, but I don't see that join button.
You are obviously in Curie, right?
In Curie.
Are you on Curie? Oh, no, oh, you're on the 13th. So we haven't assigned the judging panels yet in the other events. So I apologize about that. It will show up, I promise.
Okay.
Yep. What we try and do is we try and assign a veteran judge with a rookie judge on each one of the panels, and I'm working my way through that right now. And
okay, no problem. I just want to make sure, because yours 15 and you already have the button.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, you're a super user, so you get all the buttons.
I'm a super user. I get all the buttons. Yes, exactly. If I go to oh yeah, because I was looking in Tesla. That's why. Okay. If I go look in Watt, if you're in Watt, you'll find that you should have these buttons already. So anyway, hey James, what's up, man?
Hey, I need to fill out a conflict interest form. Where are those at?
Good question. You actually filled one out. Yes. If you are from a team and your team is at your event, then you have a conflict of interest and you need to tell your judge advisor.
Yeah, and please tell your judge advisor, because you can enter it into the First Inspire system, but I don't know if all of those make their way to the judge advisor.
Oh, that was what my suggestion was going to be, is to make sure that the teams that you're working with are in your profile on First Inspire.
Yeah.
Right, but I still don't know if that makes it to the judge advisor.
I don't think we can see it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
The problem
doesn't.
with it being in your profile is, like, I mentor the FRC team, and some of those students are helping with the FTC stuff. So I'm not a mentor on the FTC team.
Okay, so you're at my event, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it in the morning.
Okay.
So, okay, or we'll go through that tomorrow at 6. All right. So, all right.
And
If
there was
you-
one
ahead.
other question. They wanted to double check that you're going to email out links to important documents.
Yes, I am. And that will be done. Okay, so all of you, even without knowing what panel you're on, if you go to your event, you can actually get to the judge notes, that whole section on judge notes, by clicking on this. And now you can see notes for the entire event. And this is pre-populated. If you're wondering what those links are, I was going to send you, they're right here. The judge summary sheet, a link to the judge's manual in case you need one. Award descriptions, which if nothing else, if you were unable to read anything else before tomorrow, please take a moment to read through the award descriptions. You don't have to memorize this because you will be able to have this right there with you. But this will tell you what the criteria that we're looking for each one of the awards. Give it a read through. And then if you have any questions in your brain about what it is that I was supposed to award this to, the criteria are here. Does it make sense? Cool. Let's see. And then there's another one about award definitions, and that is has to do a lot with outreach, what the definition of outreach and some other things are. If you get a chance to read that, great. If not, it'll probably come up during the final deliberations. Okay. And then there is a very, very fast overview of the steps that we're going to go through that I've already explained to you. There's a template in here for the panel notes. So I shouldn't have used panel. I should have used presentation. Here are the presentation panel, right? So each one of these has a format. That format, in case you trash yours, is actually derived from this template. So if you totally trash it, go do that. I did not do the template for individual team notes. It is also in event notes, and you're welcome to come down here. You can just copy, you can copy this and hit Control-C, and then go up to a team that you're going to see, like how about this team, and you can actually just paste that template in there. And so I have little possible awards. If you know, you could make a note that as you guys are deliberating, what do we think about the Think Award? Does their engineering notebook look good? You could say, you know, looks organized. Or you could also say, no. I mean, just make a little note, especially when you decide that this team needs to do better next time. Just make a little note in there that we know that you managed to actually, you didn't skip something. Because, okay. Jason, what's up?
Sorry, I was mute. Yeah, just a quick question. So I see you can see those submissions, right? On my screen, I didn't see it. So
which event?
What?
Oh, okay. So you're not seeing this?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I just said still not a deadline yet. That's what it says. So maybe not a post for everybody.
Oh, so there are none in here?
No.
Well, can you see that page?
Yeah, I can see the page. I can see the page. It just said that just say it's not the deadline yet. It's still coming, so not post.
Oh, okay.
User, right? Yeah.
It's a setting in the system. It does not allow it doesn't allow early access.
Oh, yeah, you have access. That's why you can see maybe.
Yeah, sorry. That's okay.
No wonder.
If I check this box and hit save, but we actually, yeah, okay. That's why.
Okay,
Thank you,
gotcha.
Jason.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Chris, you had a question?
Yeah, thanks. So I've never judged before. This will be my first time. I'm super excited about it. Just to review, you said earlier that our judging sessions are going to be 30 minutes long. And the team that we're judging is only going to be there for the first 15 minutes, right?
Correct.
All right. So the second 15 minutes, I can collaborate with my co-judge and we can review the submission and get our notes straight.
Exactly right.
Perfect.
Yeah, in fact, here I'll put this just to solidify that. So that is the contents of this slide. So at minute 0, right? So at 15 wrap up, let the teams go. And there's a little button on there that says, I can't remember if it's dismiss or remove, or there's some button on there, you'll see it, that allows you to admit the team and then dismiss the team, I think it's called. Yeah, and then spend the next 15 minutes making notes, having a discussion.
Don't we have to prepare for the following one, like read the engineering note portfolio in advance, or do you have to read that?
Yeah, so here's the deal is we try not to have you read things early because teams are submitting incomplete versions. And I guarantee you they will be changing stuff right up till the last minute. Plus, it's entirely possible that you'll go and read all the ones for your panel, and then for whatever reason, I have to move you to a different panel. So we kind of just prefer that we all start reading at the same time. So the pre-read thing usually turns out to be a bust because you could end up reading 5 or 6 of these things.
Yeah, I'm talking about just minutes before your next one. So we can't, so we just don't look at the engineering portfolio until they start their presentation, or can we have like 5-10 minutes before the, I don't know.
Yeah, we usually do it after we interview the team. That's just how we've always done it in the past. And what you're looking for, again, what you're looking for in the engineering portfolio during the panel part is to take a look to see if this thing is worth somebody else looking at, and which are your favorite 2 that you think are worthy of being looked at. And another team later in the judging process will actually read all of the nominated ones completely. So you don't have to read and understand every detail, but yeah, get a feel for how they wrote it, whether it reads well. 15 pages, there's usually quite a few pictures, there's usually quite a few diagrams. You actually can, most of them, you can get a pretty good feel for them in 5 minutes. It's pretty straightforward to do.
Yeah, and if this were a real event, the team would hand you their notebook as they walked into the room. Okay. So the fact that we're not going to read the notebooks until after you're done interviewing is not atypical. And as Kevin said, in just a minute or 2, you can tell whether they have impeccable CAD drawings, completely labeled, or whether every single paragraph has a misspelled word, and or whether they have impeccable illustrations. It's a first cut so that you can put it top half or bottom half of the pile.
Okay, making sense?
Yep, just my last comment. Being a new judge, I haven't judged this before.
Yeah.
It seems to me like there's a lot of awards that I have to evaluate every team for. Is that impression accurate? What sort of advice do you have for a new judge, and sort of being overwhelmed with all the different award criteria that we have to evaluate each team for, and only having 10 or 15 minutes to do that?
Don't get too detailed during the interviews. The interviews, okay. You're going to get a good impression of the team. You're going to decide that, hey, this team seems to have it together, and you will see other teams that definitely do not, and that's fine. We support them, and we're happy to hear from them. And honestly, you're picking your favorites, your favorite teams. Now, some teams may have completely excelled at the CAD design and did nothing for, they may not even mention any outreach or connect and so a lot of times they don't give you any information whatsoever for that would support them getting a particular award. And so, yeah, you're going for the team that provided you enough information to make you comfortable to say somebody else should look at this team for this award.
Yeah, to Kevin's point, there's 2 days of judging. The first day is just thumbs up or thumbs down. And then the second day you'll specialize and it's like 2 thumbs up, a thumb sideways. So you're trying to identify the people, the cream of the crop in the first day, and then you're going to separate the cream on the second day.
And I fully acknowledge that we are doing a lot of stuff in a very short amount of time, and it's okay. The process that we have actually works pretty good. We've always been happy with the result. Teams might not be, but we are.
Yeah, and it works out. And to share a story, the first time I judged at the state level, Kevin put me on a team that had the top 3 anticipated teams for the state. So that panel was very skewed, but still you're going to see a variety, and we can't explain it to you ahead of time, but people will sort out on their own.
Yeah, you'll get it pretty quickly. And the other thing is, hey, be happy with the teams, right? The reality is we want them to tell it. It's their job to tell us their story, and it's our job to listen. And we don't need to. We don't enforce rules. We don't give feedback. We don't say, oh, well, yeah, maybe what you really should have done is, made it go like this instead of that. We don't really need to go there. So don't bother with helpful suggestions or trying to, because usually what happens if you give them what you think is helpful feedback to them, they see it as a criticism, and just because of the nature of the relationship that you have with them. So we're pretty careful not to give, try not to be helpful in terms of telling them what they should have done. It backfires every time. I guarantee it. It's my 16th year being the World Judge Advisor, and pretty much every time somebody tries to be helpful to a team by giving them feedback, it backfires. It just does. Okay, so let's head back to. So everybody who is logged in should be able to click on view judge notes though, right? Are we all good there? All right. And again, you can do notes by team. You can note presentation is your judging, is your interview panel. Go ahead, Tamish.
Can you show again the path to go to this screen?
Absolutely. So if you log in to FTC scoring, firstinspires.org, pick your event. You there? Pick
yeah,
judging.
I'm following. Thank you.
All right, judging here. All right, so my notes are to you personally. So if you want to write stuff down that you don't want anyone else to see, that works. Event notes are event-wide, and usually the judge advisor is the one that puts stuff in there. And those are pre-populated. Presentation panel notes. This is for your 2-team thing during the interview, the presentation interview. Okay. If you want to take notes on a specific team, you can do that as well. And then the last one these are all the awards. And eventually what you'll do is you'll say, okay, we've got in our panel, we have come up with our first, second, or third nominee for each one of these awards. And what we're going to ask you to do is to go, okay, so I'm going to take these ones, and I'm going to go over to the Think Award. Here it is. And I'm going to add that panel 1. And there's my teams. And that's how we collect the information at the end. It's a little clunky, but it works. Okay. So you can do that, and I'm going to undo this because I don't want to pollute this too much, but you can do that for each one of the awards. Now it lists a ton of awards on here. Sorry about that, but the reality is there are only 6 awards that we're starting with. You will find them under.
So Tony, the award nodes are accessible by everybody in the panel, or even across judges, right?
Can you say it one more time? You kind of broke up a little. Sorry.
The award notes are accessible by all the judges in the
Yes.
event, right? Not just
Yes.
the panel, correct? Okay.
Yep. So all judges have access to award notes. Okay. Actually, all judges also have access to the panel notes, but only the people in that panel can actually edit. Everybody else can read it, but you're the only ones that can edit. And that's why we kind of ask you to sort of, especially for the interview stuff, keep your notes in your panel. That way we have a copy of all of the notes that your panel took. And it's not possible for a big oops to happen. Okay. Sound good?
So is maybe one more basic question. I missed that initial part. Is all judges interviewing all the kids, or they are divided into the panels?
They are divided into panels. And let me show you what that looks like again. So the schedule looks like, so each panel sees this list of teams, just these 6 teams. And so this event, which is the biggest of our events, has 6 panels, and each one sees between 5 and 6 teams.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4 or 5 teams.
So let's say if I put one of my team into that panel kind of awards, and I nominate one, and if there's another team they want to put, how do we relatively kind of drive consensus?
So if panel 1, so the interview panels will add their notes to their panel. Let's see. So the panel will fill in their notes based on that schedule. That make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
And then later on, when the awards start to when we break up into new panels to do just individual awards, all of the judges for, say, the control award will use this note over here, which is for the control award, and you'll keep your award panels will use award notes.
Okay, so this should be done during the award discussion, not during the presentation.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect.
Pretty much all the presentation notes go in presentation notes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right.
So Kim, I'm seeing, when I look at the judging schedule, I just see all the 4 panels, like for this Thursday and Friday evening. But I don't know which panel I'll be part of it. So they'll come to know tomorrow.
Yeah, you'll come to know in the next day or so. Actually, we won't finalize the actual panel until 6 o'clock until your initial meeting with your judges. Like, for example, James is likely to have a conflict of interest, so I need to make sure that he is not judging a team that he has a conflict with. And then once I know that there's a conflict with him, if there is a decision on a panel that's being made with his conflicted team, we'll move him somewhere else so that he doesn't make decisions about his own team. Does that make sense? So that's why that's why the panel stuff doesn't quite show up yet. Okay. All right. So the second day, except for Tesla, later in the day, and I think yeah. But usually, what we do is we're going to do all of this. We're going to do this 3.5 hour block of stuff, and then the next day in the evening, we're going to allow the judge panels to come back and go re-interview the team for specific awards. And you'll probably go out and visit teams that you haven't seen before. And, you can ask them a little more pointed questions about, hey, I'm interested in the mechanism that does this. Can you, what else can you tell us about the thing that does this, right? Or tell me more about the outreach that you did with the team in Zimbabwe or whatever. And so you're able to ask them questions. And so this is a 90-minute window that we have for you to go gather more information so that you can decide. We rely very heavily on what's in the engineering portfolio. So you're going to end up reading a lot of engineering portfolios over the course of the event, and gleaning information out of there, and then relying on some of the notes from the panels and making your own notes by going out and talking to them. You'll find that this is not as academically rigorous as you would think. This is really talking to the teams, getting a feel for how they did. I don't want to call it seat of the pants, because there actually is a process here that we've been using for a number of years. But the reality is that a lot of this is subjective opinions that you're forming about the teams. Part of the game in FTC is the teams being able to communicate to you what it is that they did well and why they did it well. There's occasionally some fabulous mechanism that gets completely missed because the teams didn't say anything about it and the judges didn't know to look, and but the teams know that it's their job to provide the information to us. So come wow us. Okay. Cool. And then the final thing that we'll end up doing is under here, under award notes for like the for the design award, that panel will end up ranking the top 3 or 4. Actually, we try and go with 4, honestly, the top 4 teams that for this award, if you have 4 teams that qualify for this award. The small event is going to be a little the smaller events that gets a little trickier. Chris, question.
Yeah, I may have missed this earlier in the conversation, but if a team requests feedback, we're supposed to do that during the last 5 minutes of our time. Do you have suggestions for that? Because you said not to give the teams suggestions on how to improve. What does that feedback look like that I need to fill out?
So one of the forms here, thank you for pointing out. I glossed right over that, didn't I? So teams can request feedback. And so if they requested it, it's a little online form. They're going to give you a little bit of info about their team. And this is done based on just your impressions. And so the columns are, you didn't notice or didn't demonstrate. You did sort of a beginning job. You did okay, but could use some help. Accomplished means you did fine. Exemplary means you kind of knocked it out of the ballpark, right? And then teams seem prepared for the judging session. Yeah, sure. Accomplished means they did a presentation and all the rest of that stuff. If they did something really outstanding, give them exemplary. That's great. And really, honestly, we don't want you to lament this form. Just sort of kind of go through it, and there are 15 of these things, and that's the extent of the feedback. We don't give extemporaneous notes. We don't give written feedback. There are reasons for that. The writing level and the knowledge level between judges varies widely. And so when we used to give written feedback, one team would get this 3-page amazingly detailed set of notes, and somebody else would get, you did fine. And we would just catch hell for that, because the one who got it just fine is like, but the judges said they didn't, obviously they need to rejudge us because obviously they didn't, and it's really, it's kind of an intractable problem. So that's why we went with this little form here. Okay, so that's how we do it. Make sense? And so when you are in your presentation judging, if I join this panel, while I'm in a panel, if you click on this little down arrow, there we go. You'll be able to see that they requested the feedback form, and you can fill it out right there. Right. If I click on this, it'll bring up their feedback form. That makes sense? So that's as you're in your panel, if you use this little drop-down box, you get access to things. I think somebody else had their, yeah. So as teams are adding stuff, like here, I can get their engineering portfolio. You'll notice it's opening it up in a new tab for you. So you end up opening a bazillion tabs and closing a bazillion tabs. But this gives you access to all of that submitted info. So a fully filled out one would have, I can open the notes, I can open the engineering portfolio, I can open their control award, and I can open their feedback form. That would be a fully filled in one. We don't, I have partials on everything, but okay. Now you're welcome to, you're welcome to go. Oh, I guess we need to get you into a,
did you want to demonstrate something?
I was just going to tell him, hey, you're welcome to go and play with this, but I realized that since you're not all on panels, you may not be able to get to the panel part. And so what I may do is I may assign everybody tonight to panels. Don't expect that to be your final panel. Don't bother reading the anything in advance because we're likely to move you. But I'm going to assign everybody to a panel so that you can go in and play with this if you want to. Niraj?
Hey, Kevin, is there a pre-read of the submissions that we could go through before the presentation, or they are just instantly?
Is there a
pre-read of what they're going to be talking about, or just sort of abstract of the? Okay.
No, we don't find out until they show up and give us their presentation. Yeah, there really aren't I'd avoid doing pre-reads.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, this is starting to run a lot longer. I was going to give you the Reader's Digest version, but you guys are asking really good questions, so thank you so much for that. There are some other details that the judge advisors will go over with you day of. So again, this remote thing is relatively new to all of us. We've done it once in the past. And this time when we went to do it, we didn't really schedule enough time for deliberations. So I'm going to give you a heads up that for, even though we told you that we'd be done at 9, I would be surprised if we were at least to 9:30. And we might, and the judge advisor will have to figure this out with you. For the PID interviews, it may behoove us to ask it, and we'll ask and see how we do. Instead of showing up at 6, we might ask if you could show up a little bit earlier, like at 5:30. And each judge advisor will have to feel his way through that about where everybody is, because we did the way this got scheduled, we didn't quite allow enough time for you guys to talk. There is 90 minutes after the PID interviews for you all to talk, but we'll see how we're going to see how it goes. We've never done it this way, so bear with us as you. We did complete remote events last time. This time is a little bit weird for us, and we're pretty sure this is going to work great, unless it doesn't. It'll work great. It will. I have good high confidence. I'm going first. Fred and I are going first tomorrow. We'll let you know if there's any changes to be made. All right. How are we doing? Any other questions, comments, David?
The only other thing that I would add, that I typically add, is as a judge, you're the advocate for the team. So if you see something great, no one else will know about it unless if you say it. So that's one of the regrets that one of my friends had, colleagues, when after he judged the first time, is he was too silent in the room. So if you see something, tell the other judges about it. But if someone has something that's better, then be gracious and back off. This isn't, a knockdown, drag out fight for the awards. This is a gentleman's agreement, polite society coming together to distribute the awards equitably.
Yep. Now there's one award for handling the case where you saw something you really liked, but it didn't really fit the category. And that is called a judge's award. A judge's award, we will give out one. If we elect to, give out one at each one of the events. And if you'd like to nominate somebody for a judge's award, you know, like
if the whole portfolio was in haiku, they could get the haiku award.
Yeah, and so if they've done something that's really cool that you'd like to recognize them for, but it really kind of didn't fit the judging criteria, this one is totally free form. You can make up the own name of your award. You know, it could be the broken window award because it turns out that the team, you know, the robot went smashing through a storefront window and they had some nice story to go with it on how they recovered, right? Or something or a team that you just really would like to somehow recognize, especially the rookie teams but they didn't really kind of outdo anybody else, but they just were like overly super enthusiastic or really nice kids or something like that. So you can always use a judge's award to soothe your any feeling of guilt that you have that you weren't able to get an award for the team. So just saying, that will be decided by a group. So you'll have to get up and advocate for your team for your judge's award. Please don't get bent out of shape if it goes to another team. And again, this is all gracious and professional. Okay. I have talked your ear off for almost an hour and a half. I think I should probably stop now. All right. So now I get to put on my my first executive hat. I'm also the co-chair of the First Executive Advisory Board. So I'm one of the executive leaders for the National FIRST organization. So I take pride in being able to say on behalf of the entire FIRST community, thank you so much for doing this. Judging in FIRST Tech Challenge, you as now representatives of the FIRST community, you will actually end up spending more time with these teams than any other person from FIRST. And so with that great honor and responsibility comes our undying gratitude. This is my 23rd season of doing FIRST, and I can tell you for absolute certain that you are going to have a positive impact on the lives of all the kids that you talk to. I also happen to have 3 FTC teams of my own. I just left them a couple of hours ago, and they are very, very excited about the judging. They are working really hard on their presentations and on their engineering portfolios tonight. They're a little nervous about being judged, especially the freshman kids. They've never done this before. So your interactions with them do mean a lot to these kids, and it does have a direct impact on the lives of these students. So always be encouraging, always be appreciative of what the students have done, and it will just make you feel good. And I hope that we will get you back again next year. Okay, I'm going to say that I'm going to end the recording now, and good night to everybody who's watching on video.